On the most recent podcast episode, hosted by Tamara Judge and Teddy Mellencamp, Melissa Gorga disclosed if her kids are friends with Teresa Giudice's children, their cousins. Amidst the uncertainty surrounding Real Housewives of New Jersey, Melissa talked about her previous association with lawyer James J. Leonard Jr. and her continuous conflict with Teresa. She expressed her opinion on the casting of the next 15th season, as well as whether or not she believes Luis Ortiz is the root of the conflict. During the August 23rd episode of Two Teas in a Pod, Melissa discussed her children's interactions with Teresa's children. "I think one of them just texted my daughter Antonia Gorga for her birthday. But I don't want to talk about the kids," Melissa stated. "Time to move on, please. That's just the way things are. It's not good. All the best is what I hope for. Enjoy life. Everyone savor this special time in their life. That's all there is to it," she continued. Despite Teresa's accusations that Melissa was replicating her life, Melissa argued that the opposite was true, pointing to Teresa's podcast debut and employment of her former attorney, Jim Leonard. "Was my first attorney," she disclosed. "He signed my first contract for Real Housewives of New Jersey. Are you not beginning to notice the trend yet? I recently informed you about the podcast. One instance. See how it's set up. Am I the clone? I constantly covet what others possess. It is entirely the contrary. He represented me in court." Melissa claims that James wanted to collaborate with her sister-in-law. When he approached her, he asked if I could take her on as well, because she was contacting and seeking for help with certain criminal matters. "And I'm thinking, well, there looks to be a small conflict of interest." When he was asked to begin working with her after I declared him to be I said yes. She shared he was growing too fixated on the production of it all. "And while I still loved him and his family, I began to see that he wasn't the same person." While Luis hasn't helped the matter, Melissa pointed out that there were plenty of issues prior to him in regards to his involvement in their quarrel. "I don't claim to be an angel, but I believe that I have moved on from a lot of taking for giving. And moving on, this is definitely a two-sided statement," she said. Next, Melissa talked about Teresa's meeting with Luis and Joe Gorga, where it seemed like she was trying to ruin their marriage by bringing up a fabricated story about adultery. "When you're sitting there with your new, and you're calling my husband over for a talk without me, when you tell your fiancé that I'm a horrible wife and essentially lie to him about unsubstantiated suspicions of infidelity, I feel like, and now that I've left the building, who would ever return with good conscience?" Melissa inquired. "And I believe my spouse left here on that day experiencing the same emotions. He was really shocked that I hadn't been asked to the talk at the end, and that's why he had been summoned over to the home." Melissa referred to the situation as crazy, not understanding why she was kept out of the discourse. "The event was her breaking point," she said, adding, "It was so ridiculous to the point that I don't get hurt over it anymore." In addition, Melissa stated on the podcast that she believes Bravo could create a fantastic program for season 15. "I refuse to name it or share my thoughts just because I know where the real friendships and the back and forth reside. I think it's the most straightforward approach," she added.